you doing? That was the AAS. That's one of my favorite bands. Thanks, Cyrus. Thank you, MozCon, as well, for having me back. This is my third MozCon. I'm pumped about that. I love Seattle. It's awesome to be here. Just imagine for a moment that you started your brand new SEO job today, this week. And you're getting it right. You know, you're doing the technical audit, you're finding problems with this website, you know, you're working out why it might not rank, you're looking at the keyword data, you're doing the competitive analysis, you're getting it right, and you produce this beautiful piece of work, great big set of recommendations, and that gets broadcast around the whole company. It goes up to the board and the management team, and it works. They get it. I think we're in that place where we can communicate with people like that and we can get what we want. Imagine that you did. You get budget. They love it. They understand it. And they reply with a bunch of comments, and one of the comments is, well, hey, we need to get some links. Awesome. You understand that. You get your budget, so you start hiring. You build an outreach team. You hire some really stellar, awesome new SEOs. And you get started. You're like, let's do some outreach. Let's contact all of the websites. Let's just build some links. And you know, at first it's really exciting. You're like, yeah, let's contact all the websites. Let's build all the links. Let's email the world and ask them if they'll take a guest post for us or whatever. And it starts really, really exciting. But then people start replying with, well, you know, we'll publish your post or we'll feature you in our editorial, but that's going to cost you $100. That's going to cost you $500, whatever. And you're like, well, we don't buy links. And it starts to get difficult. And eventually, you're just like, oh, it sucks. I think I'm going to start looking at Simply Hired. Yeah. And we've all been there, right? I see this all the time. I see this sometimes even in my own company. It's hard. This is why it's so tough. These results, right here. Every single person in this room who is marketing, they're doing like, you know, content outreach, you're trying to find places to feature your clients, sees pages like this all the time, every day. Your problem is this, that you started with Google. I don't want to start with Google. I want to do some marketing. I want to understand who my target audience is. I want to find out where they are. I want to find out what websites they're getting excited about. I want to find out what they're reading. I want to learn about the people that I'm marketing to. I want to find out what they're sharing, what they're sending to their friends, what they're clicking like on, what they're Google Plusing, what they're tweeting. I want to find out what they're excited about and what's inspiring them. And then I want to get there. I want to find out who to contact. I want to know which content manager to get in touch with about this website and about that article. So I'm going to present to you today two options. I'm going to look at option 1 first. You're going to be able to guess which of these two options is my least favorite. You go to Google and you perform a search query, write for us, or quote-unquote guest post, and plus your target vertical, whatever that might be. Marketing, maybe, for me, if I'm promoting SEO Gadget. And here's what you get. This is your starting point. You excited about that? And you end up with websites like this. You do. You go and do any guest post queries, write for us, blah, blah, blah. This is the kind of thing you end up with. And yeah, you get some great sites too. But genuinely, do you really want to see your brand featured on a site like this? And I'm really sorry about whoever this belongs to. But this one's worse, so there's that. Best web hosting reviews. And they'll accept guest posts, free links, whatever. And it gets even worse than that. And you see, the thing is, if we keep doing that, and we are doing that, we're not learning a damn thing. And while we're still going to Google, doing guest post queries, trying to build links like that, we're just getting hammered by all the other guys that can do it for 1/100th of the cost, you know, like the outsourced guys, all of that stuff. And our clients look at our work and they just think, well, you're not adding any value here. There's no marketing here. I can do this in-house, and we get fired. I'm not excited about that. I'm excited about this. I'm excited about option 2. You take option 2. You decide to start learning how to collect the data. You analyze, okay? You look at it. You understand it. You get clever. So this is what I'm going to show you today. And I'll explain to you what I see here, because I'm an Excel geek. I know Annie would love this. This is a count of every single domain that a group of people in my target audience have shared in the last 4 weeks. That particular target audience are chief marketing officers in the retail industry in San Francisco. Pretty targeted, right? So I look at this data, and I know that, in case you guys can't see it all the way over there, Buffer App, MindJet, Mashable, these are the websites that they're getting excited about. They're sharing this data, they're sharing these URLs on a regular basis, right? And because I'm an SEO, these little triangles, just in case you were wondering, that's domain authority. So I know how authoritative those domains are and how frequently my target market shared them over a set period of time. So if you're marketing, I wonder where we're going to need to be if we want to speak to those people. If you took option 2, you're going to be able to do this by the end of this presentation. These are the authors that have the most influence over my target group of chief marketing officers in San Francisco. These are the people that are writing the articles that are getting shared most frequently by my target audience. These are the influencers. These people have some influence over the people that I want to market to. They must be doing something right. Oops. I want to learn about Chelsea Nakano, and I want to speak to Leo Widrich, who's CEO of Buffer App. Because my target market is sharing their work, and they're sharing that stuff so regularly. So when you look at the data, when you look at the URLs that you collect with this process, when you start looking at what somebody in your target audience is actually doing online, they're sharing sites like this: HubSpot, MindJet, SiliconANGLE, Buffer. These are really nice websites, and they have audience. People are reading this stuff. They're really pretty. They're beautiful. So, option 1, option 2. I'm going to talk to you about option 2 today. I'm going to teach you how to do this stuff. But I want you to feel convinced that what I'm going to show you is the right way to go. For a Google, guest post, guest author query, scrape those 100 domains, and I put them through the SEO, the Moz API. And I did the same thing with some share data from one of my target audiences. The domain authority, the average domain authority in those 100 domains, from the domains that real people were really sharing, was 74.49, right? The average domain authority of websites that we've been scraping out of Google for guest post queries, way lower, 47.82. So you think about this. While we're thinking about our target market, while we're looking at where they are, while we're collecting data on the sites they're sharing and getting excited about, the SEO stuff takes care of itself. We stop having to worry about the SEO metrics, right? Because real people are really doing the work for us. I love that. So, if you took option 2 with me, you've learned so much more. Not only do you understand your target audience, but you're also getting great at manipulating the data and working with it, scaling this outreach, making it more dynamic, making it closer to marketing. So I propose that there's a better way for us to be doing this. And we've got to stop using Google. I call this really targeted outreach, okay? And today what I'm going to show you is how we identify who we're targeting, how we identify what I call the influencer intersect, those authors, how we understand what those people are sharing, and then how to be there. And the cool thing is that we've made it easy. So, I get really excited about this phrase, influencer intersect, right? Just imagine for a moment that whoever it is that you're marketing to, you go to Follow a Wonk, right? And you put in a keyword in Follow a Wonk, like CMO or florist or family traveler, whatever it is, and you get a set of people who have some influence in that space, right? They rank quite well. If you take a representative sample group of those people and just have a look, if you compare groups of them, have a look at who they're all following. Because you start to see patterns, you start to see similarities. That's the influencer intersect. You know that if a big enough representative sample group of your target audience are all following very similar profiles, then that's something that you need to be aware of. Maybe you need to be there. I love this idea. This pie chart on the top right. I love snowboarding in the winter season, and also I'm starting to think about my marketing campaigns for snowboarding type clients, and so I had a look at some data. I realized that to understand the influencer intersect, you really just have to use an analogy a little like this. The pro snowboarders, the people who are interested in snowboarding are actually following, they're influencers. They're in the influencer intersect. You're going to find the same kind of people that are being followed by people who are interested in snowboarding every time. And so we just have to take this into account. Check out snowboardermag.com. So we're saying that a whole bunch of pro snowboarders are all following that magazine. We definitely need to be there. We definitely need to build that into our marketing campaign, because that has reach. Pro snowboarders are sharing that website in front of tens of thousands of followers each who are all interested in snowboarding. That's the influencer intersect. I get super excited about that. Do you want to know how to do this? Rand said yeah. Cool. So I'm going to get a little bit technical. Well, not technical, really. No. You only need 3 tools. The first, I think, is the newest and most exciting. Go to bit.ly/Twitter archiver. So there's this guy called Martin Hawksey, and he's written this incredible Google Docs spreadsheet, and it's called the Twitter Archiving Google Spreadsheet. And what it does is it fetches and archives Twitter search data, and it runs hourly, so it constantly updates. So, yeah, go to bit.ly/Twitter archiver and follow Martin and tweet the heck out of his website and make sure that we all know how awesome he is, because I'm going to show you how awesome he is in just a moment. And then you need some other stuff. So if you're a Mac user, you can't run SEO tools for Excel. That's okay, because the queries and the formulas that we've got in this presentation you can take for Google Docs, and you can build this into your own stuff. Or you can just run a Windows virtual machine and all that kind of thing. You need something that can get you contact details for websites, like our Links API extension or whatever, like Whois, all those kinds of things. And you're going to need Follow a Wonk. Follow a Wonk is really, really pivotal to this process. All right. So Mac said that my presentation would be about fetching data. She was right. I can't seem to give a presentation without mentioning Excel and Google Docs and all of that kind of stuff. But hey, we'll make a start. Right. So Imagine for a moment that you've just gone to Twitter, archive in Google Spreadsheet, and you've made a copy, right? This is so easy, it's awesome. All you do is you go to Tools, you go to Script Manager, you click Run on Authenticate Twitter, okay? That makes this kind of work. The next bit is you get this authentication window like that, you click OK. That's pretty much it. Then, you're going to need a Twitter OAuth consumer key. Now, what you do to get an OAuth consumer key is you just have to create an application. Sounds complex? It really isn't. It's super simple. You just give your application a name. You write a really, really short description, like, my Twitter archiver saves my tweets. You put your website in, and then you just have to grab what we call the callback URL. So look on the right-hand side here. This is the API authentication dialog from the Twitter, let's call it tags, right? From tags, the Twitter archive in Google Spreadsheets. So you grab that callback URL, spreadsheets.google.com/macros, and you just paste that into callback URL into Twitter's API interface. That's it. It gives you a key and a secret key, and you paste that into the dialog, and you're done. Park that for a minute, right? Just remember that that's how far we've got in the process, because I just want to talk to you about how we actually find your audience. So you go to Follow-a-Wonk. We know this, right? Follow-a-Wonk's awesome. It really is. You go and perform your search query for people that you're super interested in. In my case, that was chief marketing officers, and I used a little bit of basic regex so I could put the word CMO in there as well. And I fetch each one of those influential Twitter profile names, okay? Now, you have to kind of just take a note of them. Or at least that's what I was doing to start off with. So yeah, you take a note. Park that as well. I want to show you an advanced Twitter search query. If you go to Twitter Advanced Search and you key in filter links from Richard Baxter or Rand or from Will, like that, then the results you get are only tweets that contained a shared URL. And you can chain these types of queries. Like, you can go on for a long time. I think you can get, in terms of the character limit, I think you can get probably between 22 and 24 users in any one search query. So what we're saying is, show me what links these people have shared in the last, I guess it's 30 days. Cool, huh? Except that takes a little bit of time. You've got to work through Follow-a-Wonk, and you've got to write down the Twitter profiles, and it takes a little bit of time. So if you go to bit.ly/Follow-a-Wonk fetcher, I've made that process a little bit quicker. Download this spreadsheet, and then what you do is if you put in that same query in the top, like CMO or whatever, it goes off and fetches the profile URL and the name and the Twitter profile name of the people that you're super interested in. But then what it does is it generates the search query that we're going to need to be able to extract the links that they've shared on Twitter in the past X number of days. So you copy and paste the search query that it generates. And thanks, Dan, for helping with the XPath for that. And sorry, Rand, for scraping Follow-a-Wonk. Build us an API. So, yeah. Anyway, so remember tags? If you come back to tags, all we have to do is paste in that search query into enter search terms, which is one of the spreadsheets in this document. You paste that in, and you just click run. If it worked, it looks seriously badass. Look at this. You've got all of this data. You know who the top Twitter profiles are that are sharing your stuff. You can see tweet velocity. You can see tweets that are frequently retweeted. And you can also see the archive. What this does is it collects all of the raw data for you. This is awesome. It's called the archive spreadsheet, and it's what we're going to work with. So I realized while I was setting all of this up that actually you can don't think so two-dimensionally about these spreadsheets. Like, you can set one up to represent one of your target audiences. Some of you are going to have a whole bunch of different profiles that you're going to want to target. So you just make a copy of the spreadsheet, you update the search query. You can have everything. Like, I've got CMOs in retail. I'm monitoring motoring journalists at the moment in the industry. I'm looking at what MozCon speakers are sharing. I can track what one of the companies that we compete with, all of the staff that belong to that company are sharing as well, so we can keep an eye on what they're doing, what they're announcing, what they're talking about. And snowboarders. So now you're listening. We're listening to what our target audience are actually saying to us and what they're sharing. We're not doing any link prospecting yet. We're not having to go out and look for links or link opportunities, which is super awesome. And don't forget, I told you that these spreadsheets update themselves. So whenever somebody tweets something, you're going to know about it. Here's your next template. And this is downloadable. If you go to bit.ly/MozContemplate, get it? I know, that was an accident. I didn't mean for that to happen. I just, genuinely. But if you go there, then you can download this spreadsheet, and this spreadsheet tells you what to do next. But I'm going to show you. I'm going to talk you through this process, right? Because by the end of it, you're going to know exactly who to contact for your target audience. So I think if I press that, VT, no VT, they know that I've got to show a video. Thank you very much. Right, so you're in tags, and here we go. If we go to File, and we click Publish to the Web, we select that archive spreadsheet that I told you about and make sure that automatically republish when changes are made is selected. Then if you copy the URL that it generates, this is going to make you feel car sick, by the way. Go to Excel, click Data from Web, click that, paste that into the address bar like this. It's a really wacky browser that Excel has, but this does work. Paste in the URL, click Go, brings up the data, and then if you click Import, it pulls it straight into Excel. You just have to tell it where you want it to put it. Like that. So that's that bit done. Now, this is a template, so if you go down to Analysis, which is the next tab I've set up for you, I've already put these queries in. So if you drag down on Tweet like that, it pre-fills from data that we've pulled through from the archive. And then there's a whole bunch of different stuff that it does. So what have we got? That JSON field is really important. I'll explain that in a moment. We're extracting the domain that somebody shared in that tweet. We've unshortened the URL, so we know what the URL was too. We've extracted that URL from this seriously badass regex, which I'll show you in a minute. Don't have time to explain it, but it's there for you to copy and paste. And that's it. That's how to start building the data. But that's really it. I mean, it's remarkably easy. Right? Anyway, thank you. I'll show you what we did. We went to Twitter, Archive, and Google Spreadsheet. We went to Publish to the Web. We made sure that Archive was selected. We automatically republish when changes are made, which means we're getting refreshed data constantly. We make sure that we're publishing as a web page. That's because there's a bug in Excel, which means if you publish as a CSV, it obfuscates the URL, which means that you can't get the data more than once, which is really annoying. But you know that you're kicking ass if you're finding Excel bugs, so there's that. You copy this URL. You copy this URL. You then go to Excel. You click Data from Web. Wacky browser pops up, you paste in your URL there, you click import, and that's it. That's how to get the raw data. There's something awesome with this approach using the API rather than scraping, and that's that Twitter gives us the expanded URL in the JSON feed, which means we're not doing quite as much heavy lifting to expand the URLs themselves. And that's it. So all I care about now is making the data actionable. And you can do this in your own time. This is what my data looks like. I've got the tweets, I've got the entity data, which is that JSON with the expanded URL in it. I know the user that tweeted it, I know how many followers they have, I know what URL they shared, I know the domain of the URL that they shared, which is important for the chart that I showed you earlier on. I also know the author, because I fetched that with some XPath. I'll give you the query for that in a moment. And of course, I've collected all the social stuff, because I care more about the social stuff and making sure that there's an audience on these web pages than I do how many links are pointing to them right now. That's it. That's the data. And what I'll do with that is this. Make a pivot table. I'm always happy when I'm making a pivot table. And there's some really important bits of data here. I think right now the most important thing that we can be doing is counting the number of domains and the frequency of occurrence of those domains that our target audience gives us. Not forgetting that if you click the refresh button in data in Excel, it's going to go back to that Google Docs URL and self-update. So it means that you've got a constantly streaming link prospect list. You haven't had to go to Google to get any of this stuff, and it's real people really showing you what they really care about, not people advertising for guest posts. That's it. So when you download this spreadsheet, you can have these awesome queries and just do with them whatever you want to do. This thing pulls through the tweets and the user and the entity data in the Analysis tab. This seriously awesome regex that Pete helped me with, well, Pete wrote it. Thank you, Pete. fetches the expanded URL out of the JSON that you get from the Twitter API. It's awesome. I love that. It's going to take me such a long time to understand it. Yeah. And that's the XPath you need to be able to scrape the author name from a post once you've unshortened the URL in your data. And you know all about getting contact details for websites, so once you're ready to do the outreach, you can do that. In my last minute, I actually did some outreach with that data just to prove to myself that this definitely works. I marked off the best sites for my audience targeting for SEO Gadget. Here they are. And, Buffer App, MindJet, there's a few others that I got interested in. I only had time to contact 2 people. So I chose the big guys. Leo Widrich, do you remember that name from earlier on? He's actually the CEO of Buffer, and he's a really cool guy as well. I dropped him a line. No, I had to find his contact details first. Mail tester didn't work because they don't validate email addresses at Buffer App, which is fair enough. But Reportive, everybody's friend, yours and mine, still worked, and it did a great job. So I dropped him an email. It wasn't even a particularly well-written email. I just showed him some data. I explained to him what was going on with his site, how popular it was, what target audience was sharing his work. He was super interested in that. I'll come back to that in a moment. But with the outreach, all you really have to do is give. Don't pitch. You'll notice that pitch is incredibly crappy. I just said, so anywho, if you want to do something together, then let's do that. And he replied. It was awesome. And MindJet, I wanted to get in touch with them too. But I did this differently. I actually did use Google this time. I just did a site query to look to see whether or not they put job titles in on that website, and they do, the content manager being Chelsea. I emailed them both. I got replies from both. I'm writing for them both right now, which is really, really awesome. And I've run out of time. That, my friends, is really targeted. Please stop using Google and enjoy the rest of MozCon.